I was just telling this, that's also a perspective. I don't know his experience. So I mean, I understand that, but
I would say for you, Ty, for sure, you definitely one of the more level headed. You see it from both perspectives for sure. Not saying everybody on the panel is the opposite, but
Oh, really?
yeah, but typically what we see, especially in social media, on the YouTube panels, uh, people that throw out, "Oh, this person isn't emotionally mature," is
Mhm.
literally you're not emotionally mature, and that's why you're pointing it out. You're really just you're mirroring what it is that you are of yourself.
And
Right. And I ask that question too because I do find that I see a lot of people use terms like harsh. And then when you examine the situation that they're saying is harsh, it's like, well, this isn't actually a cruel situation. Like harsh is like cruel, you know what I mean? And it's like, is this cruelty? Like, did this person really like maliciously just destroy your emotions? Or did they just say something that you really just didn't want to hear in this moment, or something that's really inconvenient for the argument that you guys are having right now, or something that might have hurt your feelings that may be true. But I just find that a lot of times, particularly when it's woman to man and they're saying, oh, he's so harsh, his tone is just so harsh, a lot of time it just doesn't seem that way from the male perspective. It just seems like a guy might be a little bit passionate. Maybe he's a little excited. But I just find that whenever I see it used, or most not whenever, but most of the time when I see it used, it's really being used to discredit the guy and to just say, okay, well, what you're saying isn't worth hearing because if I can label you as this harsh, mean person, then that justifies not addressing or even hearing what you brought to the table.
yeah.
I think also too, Clout, that a lot of people are so used to being lied to that the mere truth is so offensive, and they don't know how to really just sit in it, right? I just think that most people are being told what they want to hear as opposed to telling what will be more beneficial to them.
Yeah. And to the point, that's a good point. One of the things that, and I've heard it, is I never had a man talk to me like that. I never had someone tell me that. And the other thing too is that, like when you're a man, you're gonna have to lean on trusting your judgment with certain situations, right? If not all, like you have to operate on a frequency where you're seeing most things in a logical way, because if you kind of waver every time somebody criticizes you for doing something wrong and you can't, and you're not self-aware, then you may just start to give in to what they saying, and the whole time they wrong, or whole time you should have probably used that tone. But to Hink's point, a lot of times when you are using that quote unquote harsh terminology and they haven't been talked to like that, sometimes they go back and they reflect and they come back and they have a conversation about it. When they do have a conversation about it, it's like, I thought about what you said, and although you were right, I still didn't like the way that you expressed yourself. And how when I have those conversations, I say, well, you got to eliminate that but. If I'm right, when you say that but, you're still not accepting the whole full accountability. Now, if you want to have a conversation with me afterwards, I just don't want you to lose the message, because the message to me is the most important thing outside of the tone. So if you can hear the tone and also hear the message, that's better than you just saying, I'm not hearing anything you're saying because I don't like the way you said it, or I wasn't even listening. The minute I heard uh like you sound like aggressive. And as a man, if a lot of people are telling you something, then I think you can go back and you can look at it and say, okay, well, it must be true. If every now and then somebody said something, then I think you can kind of lean on, like, this person just has something internally going on and they're trying to throw it off on me because they don't want to hear. And you have to be comfortable. If you know you didn't say anything wrong, you weren't raising your voice, and you just pointed out something that was like factual in that moment, then you got to be okay with saying it is what it is. But don't go change it up and switch it up because their feelings are hurt. They should be able to have a conversation like an adult and see if y'all can get somewhere with it. And that's when that like emotionally matureness or emotional intelligence comes in, that where you guys should be able to talk about anything. It's okay to disagree. I don't think everybody's going to agree with every single thing. It's impossible. If you go into any relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's coworkers, whether it's on the panel, we're going to disagree. And when we disagree, how are we handling the situation? It don't even have to be a situation. When people say, I'm not going to argue with you, why does it have to be an argument? That's another thing that they do to try to weaponize. They say, I'm not about to argue with you. Why does it have to be an argument? Why can't we just have a conversation about something that we disagree with? When you start putting that argument in there, you're trying to find a way to exit because you're getting uncomfortable. People don't like to be uncomfortable. Think about how people are afraid to just put themselves out there because they are afraid what people might think and how they may look. So people don't like to get uncomfortable in various things in life. But
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be complimenting versus competition is what I hear. And I think that relationships suffer is because it's typically a competition and both people are trying to diminish how much they're going to lose.
That's good.
How much ground am I going to lose if I lose this argument? How much authority am I going to lose if I don't say this thing? How much am I going to lose? And so when you're competing for the loss, then you cannot ascertain the gain.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about it from both ways. And I'll start with us men because the Bible says in Colossians 3:19, it says, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. I think, and I've learned this, one of the things that causes a woman to lock the keys to her heart, and I know infidelity will do it.
Yes, sir.
I know that not feeling safe will do it.
Yes, sir.
I know that her not being able to trust you will do it.
sir.
You know, you say one thing and do another thing. All of those things do. But I think that one of the biggest doors to a woman's heart that has the most complicated lock, of which only a single key can open, is she is very, very apt not to respond to harshness. That she can forgive you for doing a myriad of different things. But if you are consistently harsh to a woman, I think that locks a door that not even she knows how to always unravel and unlock.
Wow.
Have you ever had an instance where you were harsher than you needed to be? And you wanted, and this is men because we want this, we can be harsh today and expect that moments after the harshness, she should be fine, we're moving on, and we're going on. But that harshness sticks with her. And it lingers with her. Have you ever had an instance like that?
all right, go ahead, Dad.
I think I agree with him to some extent. I feel like women who are not necessarily healed kind of appreciate harshness based on my experience with my friends. And the more my friends became healed, the less that became effective with them. I feel like I had this problem, and I feel like men, they feel like things are harsh too when you like kind of telling them about themselves. And one thing I've learned to do, just not with men, just in my relationships in general, because I feel like I agree with Aisha. It's a lot of mean people out there. Like I feel like being mean is kind of popular in the area that I'm at. Like people think being blunt without a disregard for somebody else's feelings is being real and not really, considering about getting the message across, but more so getting their feelings across. So I feel like people like that can come off real mean. So what I practice to make sure that I'm not coming off harsh or mean when I'm in my relationship or dealing with people that's in my family who might like make me mad or upset, I try not to curse because if you're in a heat of emotion, then not cursing would kind of bring you down because now you're thinking about what you say instead of just saying how you feel. No calling people out their names. So like, oh, that's goofy, you goofy, that's stupid, you stupid. When it goes to that, I think that's when the conversation can kind of go towards harshness. And staying on topic is very important too. Like for instance, in an example that Aisha gave, he accused her of stealing as if what she did was intentional versus asking her and having a conversation. He kind of accused her and categorized her. And it did show lack of emotional intelligence because you could be frustrated. But if a charger frustrates you this much, then what are we going to do about bigger situations? That's not somebody I would have wanted to speak with either, because as y'all know, I'm very sensitive. But it really, honestly, I had to realize a lot of the stuff I do, it's not just me being sensitive, but my thoughts have been discredited a lot. So it goes back to like most of the time I'm just triggered. I'm not just being sensitive because these are things I've tried to talk to people in my community about, friends, relationship, and everybody. And they just like, oh, you too sensitive. You too this or you say that. And it's like, no, you got off topic. You're cursing, low blows, calling me out my name. I could literally list off the things you say. Whereas when I ask them, okay, what did I say to hurt you? Sometimes I am wrong, but other times when I'm not wrong, they usually just say, well, you made me feel like this. And it's like, okay, I understand how I made you feel. Can you give me the specific words I said so I can make sure I correct that next time I communicate with you? But they're unable to do it because they're just in a state of emotion, which a lot of women do. I do find that. So I find women, do that often. They can't tell you exactly what was said. But I think the most important thing that Ty said, which, like I said, I agree with her 100%, is that the message versus the feeling. I think if people worry about getting a message across versus how they feel across, then they can actually come to some common ground and get through to that person and find a resolution. But when you're focused on your feelings, sometimes the message could come off wrong.